Welcome to another episode of the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. Stadium Journey is the ultimate website for the traveling sports fan. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, contains over 2,500 stadium reviews, news items, and much more. And in addition to the website, we are all over social media. We have accounts on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. What else? I don't know. Those are the big ones. But like, follow, comment, share, pick up your favorite platform, and get at it. The Stadium Journey podcast is, once again, if you didn't know this, we're part of the Talk Radio Network. You can find all of HIAC's great content by searching on your podcast app or on Spotify. Just search HIAC Talk Radio Network and just look for the new red and black logo. In addition, all of our old video podcasts are on the Stadium Journey YouTube channel. Perfect for binge watching. And if you're looking for the audio-only episodes of our back catalog, those can be found at vocnation.com. And if you ever want to watch the show live, the Stadium Journey podcast live Tuesday nights at 8 Eastern at twitch.tv/danlaw83. A big what's up to everyone watching right now. And now here's our starting lineup. Dave Cotney is with us. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez can be found at Ballpark Hunter. Dan Calachico, the above-average comedian, is here. You can follow him at DanLaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. You can follow me online at PuckmanRI. And tonight we are happy to be joined by Stadium Journey correspondent Eric Moreno. Eric is from the great city of San Antonio, and he covers Central and Southern Texas for us. Eric, thanks for joining us tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So our topic tonight is going to be Texas. Well, not all of Texas.
Not all of Texas, no.
Texas is a big damn state, so we're going to cover part of it. We won't get the whole thing tonight.
The biggest.
Yeah. So you know what? Speaking of biggest, let's start off where it's biggest, in Houston.
Yep.
So Houston is the fourth biggest city in the country. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
But you never hear people say, "Hey, let's go to Houston." So why doesn't Houston get love, or why should it get some love?
I don't know. It should get a lot of love. It on top of it being a great sports city, it really is. I mean, aside from the NHL, obviously, it's got all the other major sports franchises. It's a great college town. It's a great metropolitan city. I mean, it's very cosmopolitan. It's very diverse. I think everybody should make Houston a spot to visit. I mean, if you're looking for a getaway, I'll be honest with you. Aside from the weather and the traffic, which are huge drawbacks, I will not lie. Those are huge drawbacks if you're going to plan a vacation in Houston. Those are things you need to take into consideration. But if you want to go catch a ball game, there's not many great places. There's not many better places, I should say, to go than going to Houston. You can catch, MLB, you can catch NBA, you can catch NFL, you can catch MLS. And again, there's all D1 sports there, right there in Houston. And quite frankly, all the facilities are top notch, in my opinion. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think tonight we're going to be talking a lot more college than we usually do. When we talk about a city, we usually focus on the big four sports. But like you were just saying, great MLS facilities, great Division I facilities. So where should we talk? I guess when we're in Texas, we should probably start our conversation with football, right?
Yep. Yeah. Where do y'all want to steer me? I've made it my goal personally since I've been on Stadium Journey to hit all the college football stadiums across the great state of Texas, and I'm well on my way to doing that at this point in my 5 years here. So personally, I'm a lifelong Longhorn fan. That's DKR Memorial is my personal favorite stadium, so I always like to start there. The Longhorn Stadium is right in the middle of another renovation, which is going to be a great thing to see this coming season. They're redoing one of the end zones. It's going to have a nice, big, huge Longhorn embedded in the one of the end zones. It's got a brand new scoreboard, new seating. It's going to be a fantastic thing to see. So that's something to be looking out for this coming season.
I've actually been to Austin, and I've actually been to that stadium. And
yeah,
I mean, coming from the Northeast, it was just like, wow.
yeah.
But go ahead, Dave.
So one of my most favorite 30 for 30s, actually it is my favorite 30 for 30, is the one called the Pony Excess, which was all about SMU.
Yeah.
And their receiving of the death penalty, which basically just shut down the whole football program. And a bit of an aside, sort of a parallel consequence of that death penalty was the death of the Southwest Conference.
Oh yeah.
And basically the birth of the Big 12.
Yep.
So some of those schools that were in the Southwest Conference, which was a major conference, took a step back. And one of those was the University of Houston.
Yep.
Because they made it into, well, I believe they're in Conference USA right now. Or no, are they in the American?
The American now.
The American.
Yeah.
So does Houston belong with those other schools? Does it belong with like Texas or I guess Texas A&M is sort of shifted off and they're in the SEC now. But does it belong with, Texas and Texas Tech and TCU, which is now in the Big 12, or do they really belong in a smaller conference with like SMU?
So up until the last 2 seasons, their last like 3 head coaches they had, unfortunately Art Briles, who he's bitten by the scandal bug there in Baylor. He took them a huge step forward. And they had Kevin Sumlin, took them a huge step forward. And then Tom Herman, another step forward. So they had these big name coaches at Houston who took them pretty far. They were in Conference USA. They made the step up to American Conference. And they were big time players in the American Conference. And they were winning big bowl games there. They got Dana Holgorsen, who came from West Virginia, a big time coach from a Big 12 school, to come down there. So they obviously took a big step backwards this last year, but we're going to give them a mulligan for a COVID season. But I think with a step forward in the American Conference, which is the de facto 6th major power conference. I mean, it really is. The schools in the American Conference, they could easily be with Cincinnati, with UCF. Any one of those schools could easily be winning big games in a Power 5 division. I think Houston, it's just a matter of if not of when, not if they belong in the Big 12. Yeah, there was a big push a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when they were talking conference realignment for Houston to be part of the Big 12 and back with the rest of the former Southwest Conference schools. That kind of died down again when the Big 12 made that, what I think was a bad call to stay at 10 schools, because they were, I don't know how true the rumors were of the schools they were reaching out to. The big dream school, having Notre Dame come to the Big 12 was just kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, that's not never going to happen. But they're for whatever reason the presidents and the athletic directors are stuck on this 10, which if they stay this way, the Big 12 can't sustain at 10. But at some point they're going to have to either expand or dissolve. And if they do expand, Houston's the next logical one to bring in. So I think at some point, if they do expand, Houston's the one they're going to bring in. And they can't, what they've done, they have some really big boosters there in Houston. Tillman Fertitta is one of their huge big boosters there, who's like one of the big restaurateur. He's a big, he's a big booster for the University of Houston. The TDEC, I can't remember, TDECU stadium, they redid the whole football field there in Houston. It's a gorgeous stadium. They redid the basketball arena there. It's also gorgeous. They redid the baseball stadium, whole brand new facilities there with they're 5 years old. Gorgeous facilities. Yeah, Houston is poised to be a big player in big time college sports.
What's the capacity at the football stadium now as compared to like Texas or Texas A&M? Obviously not.
Yeah, it's not anywhere near capacity there. There may be about half capacity. Texas and Texas A&M are well over 100,000 seating capacity. They're not, maybe half that at Houston. But there's very few, anywhere in big time college football they're going to be over 100,000. So that's nothing to be ashamed of being half that. So yeah.
And how does the University of Houston play out in a major league city? Obviously, University of Texas totally owns Austin.
Sure.
And there's nothing in College Station. Lubbock, same sort of deal. essentially college towns for the most part. But the University of Houston is in a big city.
Sure.
So how does Houston athletics, basketball, football, how does that fare against the NFL, against the NBA?
Sure. They do have a strong alumni base, but again, it's the same kind of fate that a lot of other major cities have. There's a lot of options in Houston to do. When the program is good, there's going to be a lot bigger draw. But if they're not doing very well, again, they're going to have a struggle bringing in a filling up a facility. But again, that's the same with any kind of major franchise. Like I said, when the Astros were really bad, they had a hard time filling up Minute Maid Park. And then when they've been really good the last 5 years, you can't get a ticket to get in there. So this is kind of the same thing with the athletics program at Houston.
And surprisingly, I think, everybody knows the big three TV markets in the States, right? New York, Los Angeles, Chicago.
Yeah.
It just rolls off. But number 4 is Houston.
Yep.
That's what I said, man.
Yeah. It's a big deal. We're a big deal.
Big deal down there.
Exactly. So yeah.
All right, so let's see. Let's talk about the pro facilities over there in Houston.
Sure.
So you got is it still called Reliance Stadium?
We're NRG Stadium now for the Texans. So yeah.
I have a hard time keeping up.
Yeah,
with
it's a hard
names.
time keeping up with all the name changes, but yeah, NRG.
And obviously that's a fantastic facility because it's hosted not only the Texans but several Super Bowls.
Yep, it's a great facility. I think it obviously gets overshadowed by what's going on up in Arlington with the Cowboys, but it really, in my opinion, it's not much of a step backwards. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have the largest jumbotron in the world or whatever, but yeah, it's really great. I've enjoyed watching the games that I've seen there. They've done a really good job with obviously the food, with the amenities. There's really not something like a bad seat in the stadium. The prices for what they are really reasonable for an NFL game. I've really enjoyed every time I've gone to see a game there. So yeah, I really like NRG.
And Houston was sneaky. Like, they were never supposed to get that team.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the Los Angeles team.
Mm-hmm.
And
really?
Los Angeles dropped
totally
the ball.
backdoored into that one. Yeah.
They dropped the ball. Like, they were. Well, I think at that time too, it was the height of USC, right?
Yeah.
And who cares? We got Reggie Bush. We're paying him big bucks anyway. But yeah, that they really backed into it. That was supposed to be Los Angeles's franchise, and they just were not together. And okay, fine, be like that. Houston, here you go.
Yep. You can say what you want about how the team's been run over the years, especially the last handful of seasons. But they've done a really good job as far as what they've done for the facilities. It's really you really can't say anything bad about NRG as far as where the Texans play. Yeah, it's really top notch.
Now, how is the reaction? Like, has Houston really fully embraced the Texans, or do they still have a little bit of a longing for the baby blue, for the?
I was going to ask that same question.
Yeah,
Earl Campbell
it's strange.
and the
like
Oilers.
when you say that. Yeah, our house growing up, like we're one of the rare San Antonio Oiler households growing up. My family came from outside of Texas, so I'm a first generation Texan. And so my family was anti-cowboy. We're like one of the rare San Antonio non-cowboy households in this area. So we were Oilers fans, and when they left, it's like, no, I'm not going to be a Titans fan or Houston Oilers or a Tennessee Oilers fan, which is just weird at the time. So I just had no NFL team for a long time, and I've slowly come to embrace the Texans. They're just not quite the same as they were with the Oilers, but I root for them. But I think there's this whole generation who have no idea who the Houston Oilers are. They have no idea there was a team before the Texans. So I think they have become Houston's team. But outside of Houston, it's still just this cowboy country. Anywhere outside of Harris County, which encompasses greater Houston, there's just nowhere you'll find Texans anything outside of there. So yeah.
I was going to ask that question. How is the state divided as far as?
Yeah, it's not divided at all. It's not divided.
It's not divided. It's
little circle around Harris County. Everything outside of that, is a cowboy country. So yeah.
There's a 3-mile radius around the stadium, Eric's house, and that's it. Everything else,
small
Cowboys.
little dot here. It's just me. There's nobody else in the household. It's just my wife could care less about it, so it's just me. So yeah, yeah. So
And Houston also has Minute Maid Park, the home of the
Astros.
2018. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that was the Red Sox.
17.
17.
Yeah. World champion, trash can loving Houston Astros.
Yeah.
My first baseball game was the Astrodome many years ago, and then of course I have cousins in Houston, so they're big Astros fans. So always grew up with that cousin, always talking junk about the Astros. So when they finally won in 2017, at least my team has won in memory. So scandal came. I said, at least my team, the Mets, didn't have to cheat. But I do like Minute Maid Field. It's a very funky ballpark. It doesn't look like any other ballpark in Major League Baseball. You went from this Astrodome to this cigar box of a stadium. What about you? Did you grow up going to Astros games from San Antonio? Or?
So it's kind of funny. So again, my family, my dad grew up in Chicago, so they came here, in the late 70s from Chicago. I had the unfortunateness of growing up a Cubs fan. So like my dad could have picked anybody. He picked the Cubs. So I had to grow up a Cubs fan. So I grew up my whole life basically being miserable as a baseball fan, especially with the Astros just right up the road here from us. So the only time I got to see the Cubs was when we'd go see the Astros. So every summer we'd go and see the Astros. And I would invariably see the Astros just beat the Cubs like 2 out of 3 games every time we'd go up there. So every summer we'd go see the Astros and the Cubs and the Astrodome. So I was kind of glad when they, just stopped having the Astrodome, and I could go and just be happier during my summers. But when they opened up Enron and later Minute Maid Park, it's curious to look at it now. Like when I'd go see the Astrodome, I would think it's just this massive ballpark. Like, oh my God, this thing is just so huge. And I look at it it's right next door to where NRG is now. It's like, oh my God, it's so tiny. Look at it now. It's just kind of cute looking at it now. But looking at it compared to where Minute Maid Park is, it's just, Minute Maid's really nice. They did a really good job with it. They incorporated all the kind of the cool things about downtown Houston into this ballpark. It's built on top of the old train depot, so that's why they had that train in there. And it's right next to where the brewery is. So they got the brewery kind of incorporated into the ballpark, and they got rid of the hill in the outfield, which was kind of weird. Which was glad. That was kind of a weird thing. I don't know if you guys remember that they had an actual hill built into center field. So there's
but it wasn't really a little hill. It was kind of it was a hill.
It was an incline. So you just see Craig Biggio kind of impale himself onto the center field, outfield. So that was kind of like they got rid of that, which was kind of cool. So they had all these weird quirky things into it. So, but it's kind of neat. It's a great place to see a ball game. And then the Cubs have kind of gotten back into it the last 5 years. So I don't have to be miserable every time I go up there now, which makes it even better. So yeah.
Well, one of the things that maybe close to home for us, maybe not everybody knows this, but Stadium Journey's origins are directly linked to the Houston Astros. So it was when Paul Sweeney was in a conference in Houston, he was supposed to be doing stuff, whatever he was supposed to be doing, and he was at the Astrodome watching Astros games, and the idea of Stadium Journey was born there.
Nice.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if our listeners are aware, but the Astrodome is still standing, Eric. You mentioned that it's right next to NRG Stadium. And like you said, it looks tiny.
It is,
looks tiny next to it. This was labeled as the seventh wonder of the world. Wonder of the world. When it was built.
It's just so tiny. So it's. I wish they would do something with it. It's still, up in the air. It's going to be an indoor park. It was going to be like a shopping center. It was going to be just a parking garage. I wish they would do something with it just because of how historic it is. But
but they are keeping it up. They're not.
They are keeping it up. They can't tear it down just because of its historic value. But it's still
You guys have to understand. Like, this used to be like it wasn't just a sports complex, right?
Yeah.
Astro World, Six Flags Astro World was it wasn't even really across the street. Well, I guess it was across the big highway, but it was like right there. Like you could go there and then go right to the Astrodome to see a game. And then all this stuff opened up and then Astro World fell apart.
Yeah.
I just saw a video about it a couple of months ago. I was like, I had no idea that was there. And it's like that immediately raised my awareness of that area around bigger. Because I was like, man, this was a hub, and now they use one building sitting there now. It's annoying.
Yeah, even there was an arena there, I believe, that got knocked down as well.
Yep.
So do they?
Yeah,
Does
it's a small arena.
Was that the Summit?
Yeah.
The Summit is now a church.
Yeah, the Summit's a church now. So yeah.
There's a different arena.
Yeah.
There?
No, there was the Astro Arena.
Yeah, the
There was
Astro
a
Arena.
small little arena, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very tiny. I don't think it was anything glamorous, but Joel Osment, I think, took the old Summit, made that into the giant church.
Yeah,
My wife wanted to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Summit. My wife wanted to go to the old
14,000
Summit.
seat church.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge.
Yeah.
I would like to go there just to see the old basketball arena. Only time you're going to get me to see any kind of those born again Christian churches, but very impressive the amount of people he gets.
Yeah, they do have sections of the old Summit in the Toyota Center, like where they have the retired, the jerseys and stuff for like Hakeem Olajuwon and Drexler. They do have sections of the old floor, which is kind of cool to see. So
They actually kept, it was Astro Arena that was also Reliant Arena, and it's now called NRG Arena. I don't know if it's still standing, but it was incorporated, Mark.
Does the Astrodome, do they have any dates for anything, like RV shows or anything? Or
no, it was really kind of falling apart at one point. They used to have they used to try to hold like high school football games in there and things like that, but then like I said, the AstroTurf was starting to come up, and then like the parts of the roof were starting to come down. When the hurricanes started coming through, they just shut it all down. They just they couldn't keep up with everything, so they just not let anybody in there. So
they just
now
let
it's kind of
Billy Bob Thornton roam the sidelines for his big football games.
Lights, and then it's just now it's just storage, which is kind of sad.
And the reality was that game wasn't even at the Astrodome.
Wasn't even at that stadium. So
that was just a movie thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Bastards.
So, yeah.
Consulting. That used to be a just to nerd out a little bit. That used to be a monster truck mecca. Was the Astrodome. They used to have you guys laugh. You can laugh at me all you want. I don't care. They used to have they used to stick 20 monster trucks in that building and have 45,000 people there. It also is one of my favorite. We were talking about wrestling off air, and then I'll be quiet for the rest of the show. I'll go back to being quiet.
Right.
It's my favorite embarrassing WCW moment where they had a Nitro there the year before where they had like 30,000, right? Which for a Monday night weekly wrestling event at the Astrodome, sure, great. The very next year, I think they had 6,000. Just this wide shot because it starts in the day for Texas, that night broadcast, so you can see the sun coming through and just space. It's one of my favorite shots ever. When you knew you're like, oh boy, that's bad.
So Houston, we'll shift gears just a bit. So Houston in the 70s was a hockey hotbed. They had the Houston Aeros, one of the kind of premier WHA teams. They brought Gordie Howe out of retirement, and he was able to play with his sons there before they moved on to New England / Hartford, whatever. They were an AHL city for the longest time, and now there's nothing.
Nothing.
So what's the hockey situation looking like in Houston? Are they just hiding in the weeds, hoping to pick off a team that's going to move? Or
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about them trying to. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about them trying to get any kind of hockey at all. That they did. The Arrows used to be. I mean, up until I want to say 5-6 years ago, there was an Arrows in some form there.
AHL,
but but then they
IHL
folded.
and AHL.
Yeah, then they folded, and there's been no talk at all, as far as I know, about them bringing anything back there. Same thing here in San Antonio.
Right.
We had a minor league franchise with the Spurs that owned it, and then they went away. So, but we've had minor league hockey here for a long time too, and then for whatever reason, it's just gone away. So hopefully something will happen here at some point. But yeah, I don't know. You'd think at some point that Houston would try to get some form of hockey at some point. I don't know why they've never tried to get an NHL franchise. But that's never been
It's only Gary Bettman talking every time he wants somebody to get a new arena.
Yeah.
They're always in the conversation, but I don't think ever as a prime contender for an expansion team or a relocated team.
Huh. Yeah. Well,
it's that number 4 big TV money, right? Like,
you'd think so. I mean, I don't know.
All right, so I guess shall we go up the road a little bit? I just turned Siri on somehow. So let's talk San Antonio, the other big southern.
All right,
Texas.
do it.
Now, but let's give some of our listeners, like for those of us who live in the Northeast, kind of a scope. How far away from, say, Houston is San Antonio?
All right, so we do in Texas. We don't do miles. We do hours.
Hours, right?
Yeah, we do hours. How far things are apart. That's how you know if you're from Texas. We do far. So Houston is about, depending on traffic, we can do 3.5 hours, 3 hours. We can just say conservatively 3 hours away.
Okay.
It's more eastern than anything else. So yeah.
Well, by the way, here in New England, we also do hours, but you never have to go over 2.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I'm always amazed by people who aren't from, like, who are in other parts of the world, like in your part of the world, where y'all are crossing like numerous states in that amount of time. I was like, how do you guys get that far in that amount of time? We're not even out of like our county in that amount of time. That just blows my mind. So, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I can be on like 6 states in 3 hours.
No, that just blows my mind. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the time it takes me to get to Dallas, you're
Yeah,
already
driven
down the East Coast. It's like, wow, how do you do that?
now. Dallas to San Antonio is fairly close, right?
That's
Or-
about 4.5,
Or
5 hours.
Austin. to San
Austin is an
Antonio.
hour and a half. So yeah.
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 We're looking at Houston over here, San Antonio about here, and Dallas is up here.
Yeah. Austin is
And
an hour and a half
Austin's kind of
north.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin's an hour and a half north, and then farther north than that is the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
okay, you Americans got to get like real maps. None of this like hand stuff and.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were we doing? Did we do Washington last week? Was a hand?
Washington, this is Washington, and then this is Michigan. And
Eric the
Hands.
peanut guy brought that up.
Yeah.
Texas is big. Texas is a big old chest. I don't
Need a
know.
big old map. Yeah.
So San Antonio, another city, always seems to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Who wants to move, or when a team, or no,
Yeah.
we just talked about expansion, but
So
still
yeah.
only with the Spurs.
Yeah. So I'm a lifelong San Antonian, and anybody who's a lifelong San Antonian, we have, I guess you would call it like severe little brother syndrome here. So like we're always feeling it from the bigger city, from Dallas, from Houston. Even now we're getting it from Austin, which has an MLS team, which we feel like should have come to us. So anytime that anybody's talking about expansion, we're hearing it again with the rumblings with Major League Baseball talking about the A's moving again. It's been talked about with the Rays moving. So anytime there's already anybody talking about moving, we're poking our head up. We've got the land, we've got the facilities. Come on down here, and invariably they're just kind of using us and moving on to somewhere else or just getting a new stadium at home. So yeah, that's just how it seems to go with us all the time. So yeah.
What is it about
Now,
San
what
Antonio?
was-
Why are they always the bridesmaid?
It always comes down to they say our TV market's not big enough, which technically we're the 7th largest city in the country, which we are population wise, number 7, but TV market wise we're pretty low down on the list. So yeah.
Now, what was the sentiment? I know San Antonio was trying to get an MLS team at one time.
Yeah.
They left one league to join another. They thought they were going to get a team. All of a sudden, Austin.
Yeah.
Has that ticked off a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
in San Antonio?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
is it okay? So there is
Yeah.
sentiment. That's what I thought because they left the North American Soccer League. Yeah, they left one league to go to another league, which there was some dirty play there, and then they get screwed over down the road. Okay.
Yeah. There's already a pretty strong, healthy rivalry between Austin and San Antonio to begin with, just because of the proximity and because of Austin's they're the cooler city than San Antonio. Again, we're always the little brother. We're always kind of feeling at. So when they got the MLS franchise over us, that just kind of San Antonio has a strong soccer population as it. We're pretty soccer forward normally. We're pretty pro soccer in the city. So when they got it over us, there's like we're never going to see that channel. We're never going there. So yeah, it's pretty strong at this point. So I mean, it'll probably boil over at some point.
It was backwards, right? So. Like San Antonio was going through the expansion process.
Yeah. So we started out with the North American, the NASL or whatever it was with the Scorpions, and then that franchise sold to the Spurs. We went to the USL where we have San Antonio FC, and then depending on what you believe, that was just the next step into getting the MLS franchise, which the Spurs put all the money into renovating that franchise. They added room to even grow that stadium even more, to add the more seating in there to bring it up to MLS standards, and then Austin just kind of swoops in and takes from it.
And it was such a backdoor deal.
Yeah.
No, it kind of hurt the North American Soccer League. That's when they were in first. But I look at San Antonio, like nobody wanted to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
NHL went in there, huge success. Raiders are there now. Oakland's contemplating it as a possibility.
Yep.
The Spurs have been quite successful in San Antonio. I could see MLS, I could see baseball, I could see NFL doing quite well in San Antonio with the right venue. If any team ever shows up in San Antonio, which one do you think would work the best?
I think we've shown that we can support any sports league at this point. Anytime we've had one of these fly-by-night pro football leagues that startups, we're invariably at the top of the attendance league whenever they come in here. San Antonio, we've had 9 of these things at this point. Where the defunct football leagues, we're always at the top of the attendance leagues. The soccer teams, whichever ones we've had here, they've always been the top of the attendance. Hockeys have always done well. Our minor league baseball team's always done well. Whenever they haven't done it in a couple of years, but they bring in the Rangers and the Astros. They used to do an exhibition 3-game series at the Alamo Dome that always sells out for 3 games. We've proven at this point that we can have whatever at this point, and I think the fans will support it. The NFL, that's a little iffy because again, this is a Cowboys town, and I think that's kind of been the draw, the sticking point that the league always kind of points to. That when you look at the TV ratings, it's Dallas and then San Antonio. Those are the big ratings for the Cowboys. Those are the two. So it may not be NFL, but I think anything else would do well here. And again, for what they've shown with the Spurs. For the loyalty that the San Antonio fans have shown over the years, I think that shows what we're capable of here.
So has the little brother syndrome extended to the? I don't even know what you want to call it with the missions, the San Antonio missions, as they got up to AAA. Did they actually play a season at AAA?
Yeah, they played a season at AAA, and then
they were dropped down with the big.
Yeah. That was unfortunate. That was unfortunate, just because I think that they really wanted to get a new stadium built, and there's just, where they're wanting to build it, there's just not room to build it. They want, so I don't know if everyone's familiar with the way whenever they show San Antonio on TV, whenever they show something, they're showing our downtown with the Riverwalk and all that, the Alamo. That's where everybody wants things to be, and there's just not any kind of real estate for a baseball stadium downtown there. There's just not anything for that, especially for a minor league facility, and that's where everybody who wants something want it to be, and that's just not going to be. They're not going to build a AAA stadium for something like that. Major League Baseball, they would find room for it, but not a minor league stadium. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention how not only did you guys get screwed by MLS, you got screwed by minor league baseball.
Yeah.
But they didn't. The city did not build a new stadium.
No. Yeah, they've had this one open since early '90s, and they renovated over the years. But I think it's just going to be where they're either going to build one in another part of town, or they're going to keep revamping this one, but they're not going to build something like what these owners have wanted to do. So yeah.
So is this an issue where the city would have to replace the Alamo Dome to attract somebody new?
Yeah, unfortunately, and I don't think that's where they want to do. The Alamo Dome still, even without a permanent tenant there. We have my beloved UTSA Roadrunners in there. They have a lease through 2030. So that's each for college football that's in there. The Alamo Bowl's in there. That's where all the major concerts come through. Dan, monster trucks. That's where the monster truck rally goes through every year. So it's got a lot of draw through there. So I mean, to tear the Alamo Dome down, they're going to have to replace that. So it's just one of those kind of catch-22 things. I mean, you have to tear something down, and where are you going to put stuff in the interim? So yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the prime real estate where everybody wants to be. It's within walking distance of all that stuff in San Antonio.
Now, is the Alamo Dome like one of those? Sometimes I look at some of the facilities where outsiders look at them and they go, "Oh wow, that's terrible." I mean, the Tropicana Field comes to mind. Oh wow, how could you? It's in Florida. How could you play inside in Florida? That makes no sense. But if you're a resident, playing inside in July in Florida is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So is the Alamo Dome like that, where kind of outsiders are looking at it as like, it's not really, but the folks that live there are just fine with it?
It's got a soft spot. If we've lived with it for a long time, it's I think it's kind of we love it for what it is. It's ours, so we like it. It's not great. I mean, as I've gone through my travels and seen the other facilities around our fair state, and I've seen what they have, like, God, I wish I had that, but this is what we have, so I'm gonna embrace it. They've done their best to renovate what they have, but yeah, again, aside from tearing it down and starting from scratch, there's really not a better option. Which even that is not a great option at this point.
I was going to say, is there anything that they could do that would make it better at this point, or is it kind of topped out?
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, there's really not much they could do with it at this point. So yeah.
So for people who don't know a whole lot about San Antonio, you mentioned everybody whenever you see a game on television, they show the Riverwalk, they show the Alamo. There's got to be more to San Antonio than that.
Oh yeah, tons more. I mean, that's just you hit the touristy things are in that part of the city. That's where everybody kind of goes. It's got the Hemisphere Park, which is where they had Hemisphere in '68, which is where the big tower is. So all the fancy restaurants are not in that area. Yeah, that's kind of where the draw of the city is. So, but there's the city is really diverse. I mean, it's a majority city, so we're very we're a Hispanic majority city. So obviously that's part of the big culture. But we have a large German population and a large Asian population. So it's really diverse, and there's anywhere you go in the city, you're going to find something cool. For my money. So yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the Hemisphere. That reminded me of the old Hemisphere Arena.
Hemisphere Arena, yep. My first Spurs game was at Hemisphere Arena, so yeah, I have fond memories of it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is still the case, but at one time, Texas actually had more professional hockey teams than Canada did.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine that's the case anymore, because I know a lot of them have since folded, but yeah. Yeah.
With the Odessa Jackalopes.
The Odessa Jackalopes.
Exactly.
So, the Odessa Jackalopes. Yeah.
The Western Pro Hockey League, man, and those had some of the best logos you ever see.
Okay.
I always
Amarillo Gorillas.
I was to deviate it just to sidetrack a little bit. I always found it weird. Like I went to go to one of those games in Odessa. It's like, God, these guys are like from Lithuania, and like, what could they be thinking when they get off the plane and they're like in Odessa? Like, what could be going through their minds? Like, God, they come from here and they're stuck in the middle of West Texas. What could the culture shock be going on for those guys? Like, I just can't even imagine.
So if you got if there's one sporting experience in San Antonio, you can only do one. Is it the Spurs? Is that?
Yeah.
And how does the Spurs experience compare to, let's say, the Rockets or even the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, so again, going back to that little brother thing, I'm loath to give the Rockets any kind of credit for anything. So I always will pick the Spurs over the Rockets. When you're coming to San Antonio, you have to see a Spurs game. It's when they're the last two seasons they've been down, unfortunately, but when the Spurs have been great, there's really nothing like seeing a game at AT&T Center. The fans really show out. They pack it. They're engaged the entire time. And the one drawback to the AT&T Center is unfortunately where it's at. It's on the eastern part of the city, away from where I said where all the fun stuff is downtown. But it's not that far of a drive to downtown. But yeah, the AT&T Center is really a state of the art facility in the NBA, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, it's really a lot of fun to go to games there.
I know up in Toronto, it's there is a soft spot for the Spurs, partially because there's still a lot of love for DeMar DeRozan, but mostly because whatever happened between the Spurs doctors and Kawhi Leonard.
We're not going to say his name anymore. We're not going to mention his name.
The Raptors made out like bandits on that one.
Yeah.
But how big?
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, like how big of a personality is Greg Popovich in San Antonio versus, let's say, Tim Duncan or David Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can overstate how big of a mark he's left on not just the franchise but the city. I mean, between him and Tim Duncan, I don't think there would be a Spurs if either of them have left at any point here. I mean, when Tim Duncan's contract was up after the '99 season, I mean, he was going to be a free agent. There was serious talk if he would have left to go to Orlando, like there was serious talk of that we would not have gotten the AT&T Center, and then the Spurs would have relocated at that point. So I don't think. There was, Popovich was the general manager and head coach at the time, so he played a huge part in keeping Duncan here. So, he keeps Duncan here, Spurs stay here, we win 4 more titles at that point. So, I don't think you can't overstate the legacy that Popovich has left on the city and on the.
Now is there not a more underrated dynasty?
Don't get me started. That's a whole other conversation.
Don't get me started.
We can go on and on and on about how underrated the Spurs are.
Oh no, please.
Yeah. Whenever I think the latest thing that kind of gets the Spurs fans goats, and I'm sure you guys have seen when ESPN Twitter has done their greatest.
ESPN Twitter can go to hell.
I think they just do it to troll San Antonio fans, the greatest trios in NBA history. Which one would you want? Would you want the guys from the Brooklyn Nets or the guns from the Boston Celtics? I'm like, hello, we won 5 NBA or 4 NBA titles.
To me, the best trio in San Antonio history is Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and some guy named Fred. Who cares?
Yeah. So it's just But
Ginobili and Parker too.
Yeah, it just kind of gets our goat.
I just find San Antonio so fascinating because. The media types are all about, Lakers, Celtics, Dynasty. Yeah. But when the Spurs were winning, it was, I'm sure there were TV executives jumping out of windows. Like,
I mean,
it was that popular.
I know the Spurs have gotten this label of being boring, but I was like, I don't know how you could watch Manu Ginobili and call him boring. I know Tim Duncan wasn't the.
I like the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
No.
They were called boring.
They're not comparable because they are boring.
But
they were boring, just like San Antonio was boring.
There's no way.
Manu wasn't boring.
No way.
Tony Parker wasn't a boring player. I mean, Tim Duncan wasn't a quote machine.
I'm sitting here defending Texas over the Devils.
The national media considered the Devils and the Spurs. They didn't get any love or respect for winning their multiple championships during.
There's one thing that myself, a schmuck from Philly, and a schmuck from DC, and a schmuck from California, and any other hockey fan can agree from all over the world is that the Devils were boring. And they also had Martin Brodeur. They also like to injure our players, but that's another podcast for another time.
Lindros will get injured just sneezing.
That's not just true, but shitty team, shitty fan.
Scotty Stevens. Okay.
All right, where were we?
I'm going to edit that out.
Again, I could go on, but like I said, at some point the Spurs got labeled as being boring, and it just kind of just stuck, and it's an unfortunate thing we've kind of had to live with for 25 years. So
All right, so I guess this might be appropriate. The Spurs. I don't think they ever got their proper due.
Yeah.
Dude, it was to the point where I was looking up something like during the NBA championship last year. I was like, wait, dynasties, but why don't people ever bring up the Spurs? I forget because even I was like, I forgot.
Yeah.
They won their 4 titles over how many years?
5.
5
4 titles in 5 years.
Yeah,
we got 5 titles. We got 5 titles spread out over. 99 to 2014. That was where we,
But the other dynasties, even though they're broken up, those are definitely dynasties. And I'm like, that's not how that works at all.
Yeah. So again, I could go on and on and on and on. So,
Well, I mean, I can tell you this: when ESPN does their Chicago championship wins, they always forget the White Sox. So they do weird things like that. So San Antonio's not
that one. I'll give you that one because I actually forgot the White Sox won a World Series recently, and I watched the video that had the last play of every World Series, and I forgot '93 was coming, so I got triggered again.
You know why? Because Boston had won the year before, and all of a sudden the White Sox are like, well, heck, we haven't won one in.
Yeah,
we got our own drought to worry about here.
Yeah. I have another sock here. Let's do it. And then the White Sox one came up. I was like, Jesus Christ, I have no memory of that play whatsoever. And every other play, I was like, I remember how that one ended.
And who did the White Sox sweep in that World Series?
I had no idea. So you're right. You're right about that one.
Houston Astros. Okay.
But the Spurs one, the Spur talk confused me. Legitimately confused me because talk about all these other sports teams that will have a championship and then a year off, and then another year off, and then a championship, then a year off, then a championship. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So since we're traveling around South Texas, I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't. And I'm sorry if this triggers you a little bit, Eric. Let's talk about Austin.
Yeah, that's okay. Again, I'm good. As I said, I'm a lifelong Longhorns fan, so it's right up there. I do have a soft spot for Austin, so yeah, I'm good with that. So yeah.
I visited Austin once for my 50th birthday. We went down and we visited Dallas, and while we were there, we trucked down to Austin because we went and saw the Round Rock Express.
Yeah.
And so we spent that day in Austin, and that campus right in the middle of downtown. You've got the state capitol, and you got the University of Texas.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. And being from the Northeast, where our biggest football stadium is maybe 10,000 people. No, Dave's actually been to our best football stadium, Alumni Stadium, and you could probably fit 5 Alumni Stadiums inside Royal Stadium. It's just a scope that I can't comprehend.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So it blows my mind when I see some of the stadiums like back east. When I said we've got high school stadiums that are bigger than some of the stadiums you guys have back east. But yeah, I have a really soft spot for DKR for Royal Memorial, and just to see that how they've kind of grown it up especially the last 10 years when they've just continually added on to it to kind of try to keep up with unofficially to keep up with what they're doing in College Station with what the Aggies are doing has been pretty impressive. They've had this arms race to kind of keep up with their unofficial now rival. It's pretty impressive. So yeah.
And Austin has more going for it than just University of Texas.
Austin is this weird conglomeration of being the state capital. It's the tech capital of Texas. It's the entertainment capital of Texas, and it's this college town. So it's got all these weird things kind of all blended together, and somehow it all kind of coexists. And it's just again, begrudgingly, it's a really cool place to be. So yeah.
And I guess if we were talking about any minor league facilities, we talk a lot of minor league baseball here. Dell Diamond is great.
Dell Diamond is great. Stadiums? Yeah, Dell Diamond is great. Down south of us here in Corpus Christi, Whataburger Field, same organization. Yeah, that's really nice. Those are probably my 2 favorite in Texas. And then where the Sugarland. Yeah, that's great too. I love those 3 stadiums. Those are probably my 3 favorite in Texas. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, my wife actually enjoyed Round Rock because we stand in the upper deck behind left field, and they have these half-yard margarita slushies.
Yeah,
these margarita slushies. So her and my cousin Susan, who lives in Austin, which we can just talk about the food there, how amazing that is.
Yeah,
she had a great time. The weather was cool. When we went to Sugarland, she hated it because it was very humid.
Yeah,
but we met up with one of her friends from college, so we had a good time. Probably the 2 minor league ballpark experiences that she enjoyed the most were in Texas.
Good. Yeah. Those are probably my 3. Again, I don't know. Again, it's hard to get down to, but yeah, in Corpus Christi, Whataburger Field is probably my top 3. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, would love to.
Hey,
Dell Diamond. Have you been to Frisco?
I haven't been to Frisco yet. I kind of leave that to Mike. So yeah, it's part of the world. So yeah.
We could always visit. You know,
I may do it because I'm a Dr. Pepper junkie. It's named after Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
So,
everybody tells me that's one of their favorite minor
Yeah.
league ballparks, and I haven't been there yet. So
it is.
I'm waiting for the car rentals to go down.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it is up near the top of my list, but we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah, Del Diamond. Geez, you got a Salt Lick right in the parking lot.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. You can't
what
go
a
wrong
great barbecue place that was.
Can't go wrong with a Salt Lick anywhere. So yeah, they got one.
Tony Black
Salt Lick in the airport, Salt Lick in the parking lot. So yeah.
Tony Black blows it away. Ever since I went to Austin, had their barbecue, I've been spoiled. I don't like it anywhere else, maybe with the exception of Kansas City. But
yeah. Well,
I need to go back to Austin sometime soon.
Another topic for another show. Because
I think we need to do another food episode one of these days, huh?
Yeah.
Well, all right, Eric.
I got the guys lined up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Perfect.
Huh?
Yeah.
So have we covered Texas satisfactorily? I mean, big state, little show here.
Yeah.
But I think we've hit a lot of highlights.
I think so. Yeah.
And in a tidy 1 hour time frame too.
Yeah. Again, I'm on my to-do list in the coming short weeks is the Q's2 Stadium for MLS in Austin. So I would happily report that in a couple of weeks. So I will let you guys know what I think of that. But I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Oh, one more question. You said you were trying to hit every Division I football team in the state. How many Division I teams are in Texas?
I think the last count there were 40. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
40
counting
out of
FBS, FCS, and then there's 100. No, there's 40 altogether. So there's 40 at every level. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 40. So yeah.
All right. In my 6-state New England region that I cover, there are 14.
There you go. Well,
And you can fit all of them inside of probably the biggest one you cover. All right, Eric. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And do you want to let our listeners know if they want to follow your exploits around the great state of Texas? Where can they follow you online?
Sure. Follow me on Twitter at Eric Moreno 6477. That'd be the best way to follow me.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. So thanks to Eric Moreno for joining us. That was a great discussion about Texas, and just a little foreshadowing. In 2 weeks, we're going to talk more about Texas. I'll let you know about that at the end of the show.
I'm not coming next time.
Oh.
El Paso. Say El Paso.
I've never been to El Paso. Have you been there?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Next week, I'll El Paso.
The Chihuahuas.
It's a nice little city. I've not been into. I've been to the old ballpark, but not to the Chihuahuas, which I hear
used to
is
have
really
the buzzards
nice
of the the WPHL. We're talking about the WPHL.
Texas Western University.
But anyway, this is the part of the show where we will. Yeah, that's right. You ever see that movie?
Glory
What's
Road.
it called?
Glory Road.
I'm very distracted. But anyway, this is the part of the show where we recap our visits.
White people.
Where we will recap our visits over the last couple of weeks.
What is happening?
We need some Ritalin here. This show. So does anyone have any trips over the last couple of weeks? Any visits that we need to recap? Go for it, Mark. I know.
Yes. I went to Victory Field at Indianapolis. They hosted the Iowa Cubs for the first time since 1997. So we have a lot of Cubs fans here that are like, "Oh, let's check out the Cubbies." And I think they had a couple of their players were down there on reassignment. So got some pretty big crowds during the 6-game homestand. I was there Tuesday night to check things out. They opened up a new club level suite that used to be part of the press box. So they booted us all out to a smaller space. But it's gorgeous up there. And if you're a fan, you could buy a ticket for $70 with 3 other friends and get spoiled and have beautiful views of the stadium. So I've talked about Victory Field quite a bit on here. One of the best in the business, doesn't have to pretend to be anything it's not. Also, this Saturday, went to see the Indy 11 USL Championship Club. They were playing at Lucas Oil for the past 3 years. Now they're back on the campus of IUPUI, which is home to Carroll Stadium. And all that great atmosphere that they lost at Lucas Oil is now back. You have the BYB section supporters. You have the smoke. You have the beer specials. Everything there at this game was $3. Concessions, food, beer, mixed drinks. I was unaware that the beer was $3. I just thought it was like hot dogs and burgers and nachos. But tall boys, $3. Mixed drinks, $3. So everybody had a pretty good time there. So yeah, it was a fun atmosphere. Great to see the team playing outdoors. Of course, it's going to suck when we're playing in the middle of a rainstorm, but you got the atmosphere back. So that was the only good thing about Lucas Oil. If it was a cold, rainy night, you had the cover. Here, you got the atmosphere. So I'd rather have that atmosphere and that passion because, we do like our soccer here in Indy, but we're far away from getting a new stadium built. They want to say they have something, but they really don't. And if something pops up, it's going to take at least 3-4 years. So hopefully things work out for the best. But we're just kind of in stalemate right now. So those are my 2 visits.
And I actually, a couple of weekends ago, took a road trip. Started off the weekend on a Friday. I actually took a Friday off and went down to Reading, Pennsylvania. Checked out First Energy Stadium, one of the most fun minor league ballparks in the country. Whether it's your cup of tea or not is one thing, but you can't deny that it is a unique and fun place. We've talked about it on the show before. It's like a carnival midway when you first come in. You've got your concessions right off the bat. You've got the Hall of Fame, the Reading Baseball Hall of Fame. You've got mascots everywhere. There was a band playing. It was just, it's energy right when you come in the doors. And then when you cross into the ballpark part, it's vintage 1950s wooden grandstand. So it's really a fantastic place to catch a game. It was a nice quick game. It was pitcher's duel. Of course, it was fireworks night, so the game ended way before it got dark. But that was all right. It was great to revisit Reading. And, Reading, the city of Reading, has a really nasty reputation, right? It's not the greatest place in the world. But we actually were downtown during the day and found a nice brew pub.
Nothing wrong with Reading. It's Scranton. You got to work.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not the great place. I haven't seen the whole city, but we found a great brew pub, had some good food, some good drinks before the game. So it was a great Friday night. From Reading, we went over to Lancaster and checked out the Barnstormers. It was a new ballpark for me. Number 177 on my list. And I really liked it. Clipper Magazine Stadium. It has won awards as for its construction, its design. Really nice ballpark. The only thing was there was really no shade there, and it was 90 degrees the day we were there. So you baked a little bit, but we were able to find a spot that had a nice breeze. So once we moved to a different seat, it was a much better experience. But Lancaster is a nice ballpark. The one negative I found to it was the parking situation. So
it's Lancaster. I mean, where else do you park?
Yeah,
Lancaster.
No, I wasn't correcting your pronunciation. I was saying,
what's wrong with it? What's $15 to park?
There are parking lots right next to the front entrance, but they're reserved. You got to purchase those spots in advance, or they're for season ticket holders, what have you. So, as someone who was just coming to the ballpark, you're out in the West 40. We were parked so far away that it was a fireworks night. We left the game right when the game ended. Fireworks show began and ended before we got to our car. It was quite a hike. But the ballpark itself, it has some nice features. You can do the 360-degree concourse. It's got a kids play area. Kids can play mini golf. They got a carousel. They got some areas where the kids can run around. Decent theme store, some craft brews, local food. So it was a nice experience. And for the Atlantic League, I would say I've been to a lot of Atlantic League ballparks, and that probably was my favorite one I've been to so far. And so after Lancaster, we started heading home, and we stopped in Little Falls, New Jersey, and caught the New Jersey Jackals at Yogi Berra Stadium. Boy, has this place seen better days.
It has. I was there about 5 years ago.
We hadn't been there in about 10 years, and they haven't done anything to the ballpark.
The seats are bleached, right? They're kind of
seats
faded.
are sunlight bleached out. Yeah, absolutely.
God.
It's a little ballpark. It's a nice little ballpark. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not a whole lot to write home about.
Yeah, it's a glorified college stadium.
Yeah, it's got the Yogi Berra Museum next to it. Hey, but catch this. To go into the Yogi Berra Stadium, it's a separate charge from the game, and we had to wear masks. So that was kind of a bummer. It was a nice little museum. It doesn't take a whole lot. It wasn't worth the $10. It takes about 10 minutes to go through it.
Oh God, really? That's how much? That's how desperate they are. Okay.
Yeah, and it's one of those ballparks you can walk. It's got the concourse that goes about from first base to third base, so you could explore the whole stadium in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would say it has the best name of all the ballparks in New Jersey, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not one of my favorites. I would not go out of the way to see a game up there unless they had some kind of promotion going on or there was a specific reason.
And yet, it's outlasted all of those other New Jersey ballparks.
It has, yeah.
Most of them anyway,
except for Somerset and Sussex,
and Lakewood.
Yeah, you're right.
So
it was built before Lakewood, but yeah.
So that was our long weekend. Reading, Lancaster, Jersey Jackals. So it was a fun weekend.
Yes.
And and the Jackals game, it was hot. It was 90 degrees again. So
even a better reason.
And
to leave early.
There was a little tiny piece. There was maybe like 10 seats that had shade, and so it was a fight for those 10 seats.
Yeah,
it was funny. There was nobody. It was maybe a crowd, maybe 100 people.
Oh, that's just,
everybody was jammed over in that one little shady spot. And we saw our friend, the Happy Trumpeteer, or whatever his name is.
The trumpet guy.
Yeah, the trumpet guy, Scott Fryer, who got mad at us for using his picture that one time.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Delete it off the internet then.
Yeah. No, we actually talked, and he was very pleasant to talk to. We talked for a good 10, 15 minutes. Because I was wearing a Pawtucket Fighting Quahogs hat. So he came up and asked me about it. And then last weekend, the 4th of July weekend, so we went up to Polar Park and caught the Worcester Red Sox again. Our second visit to Worcester, not as fun as the first, even though I had seats this time as compared to the first time where I had to stand the whole game. We had a big batch of rain over the 4th of July weekend. And, all right, as we have mentioned before, Polar Park cost $159.5 million to build. Most expensive minor league ballpark ever built. And guess what? When it rains, the park floods. How about that?
It says slight oversight.
Yeah, it's you couldn't go out to the big right field party deck where all the concessions are out there.
Bit of a problem.
Yeah,
should have looked into that one.
Little engineering design flaw there. And also, our seats were on the third base side of the field, and from most spots on the third base side of the field, you cannot see the scoreboard.
Okay, well.
Another big design flaw, because they're building a big office complex out in left center field.
Okay.
So what they did is they pushed the scoreboard way over near the foul pole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
they spent how much on this?
$159.5 million.
That seems like a problem.
So you got the third base concourse, and then you've got party decks that jut out almost at a right angle, maybe a 30-degree, 45-degree angle.
So a baseball fan did not design this ballpark, you're saying?
No, I think a committee designed it. And it was like, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. I'm sure that office building is going to bring a lot of money into the team. So that's why that took priority. But yeah, to move that scoreboard way over there so half the stadium can't see it, not a great design. I did have fun at Polar Park. I do like Polar Park. Not my favorite. I know a lot of the people. I don't know a lot of people. I know some people who are still there with the team. Bumped into one of them during the game, and he said, "How about this place? This place is magnificent." And I just said, Rick, it's middle of the pack for me. And he couldn't believe it.
Rick, it floods.
I ban you from Polar Park.
No.
And you know what? There's better seltzer water out there.
Oh, man. You know what, though? I did have an orange dry soda.
Life-changing. I saw that.
Life-changing.
Really?
It was.
I don't think you can get that out here.
It's orange soda, but it tastes more like a citrus soda. It was I really enjoyed it. But then I looked at the nutritional information. one bottle is 300 calories. So it's like,
sounds about right. Yeah.
That's my one.
Oh, 300. Dang.
300 calories.
300
one
calories.
bottle of
That's like a Big Mac.
soda.
300 calories. What great taste.
So I washed out my helmet-sized nachos with a 300-calorie soda, so I didn't eat for the rest of the week.
Welcome, diabetes.
The sodium intake.
Yeah, after I just turned 55 and I'm way too heavy.
Great.
And now I'm eating nachos.
Well, Paul, it was a fun run.
And drinking a bottle of soda. Hey, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out.
It was a good run.
Drinking a bottle of schnapps.
That was my weekend. Worcester Polo Park. I still recommend it. It's still a good ballpark.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect. And when I talk about these design flaws, it's just that price tag. It's like, you spent this much and there's this much wrong with it. Ballpark designed by committee. Never works.
The flood thing is a problem. That's a slight problem. The scoreboard, whatever. The flooding, that seems like something you shouldn't overlook.
Yeah. They have finished the construction on the outfield. The berm is almost ready for.
Did they finish construction on the dam yet?
No, the right field area that flooded, it's elevated. So the Worcester wall is 20 feet tall and it's got seats on top of it. So this is about 40, 50 feet up in the air. So I think, and they coated it. It's not paved. It's got this weird clay surface that's kind of smushy when you walk on it. So I think it's more of a drainage problem that they need to work out.
Drill a hole in there and
big hole, big plunger,
PVC pipe.
So those are my trips anyway. So gentlemen, do we have any trips coming up for the next fortnight? Dave, you're getting close up there in Canada.
Maybe.
Close.
We'll see.
The Welland Jackfish.
I don't know. The Montreal Canadiens look pretty good up there. Look pretty good in there.
Yeah, that was funny. Where only 2,500 people allowed inside, but there was 3 times that.
Nice super spreader event outside.
Yeah. Shoulder to shoulder.
Makes sense. No mask. That was awesome.
No, I'm thinking of going to some intercounty baseball this weekend. Although the intercounty baseball league is in a bit of a state of flux. So in Waterloo, we're not quite at the same level of openness as the rest of the province. So the Guelph Royals have already pulled out of the season. Kitchener has said the Kitchener Panthers have said if they can't start next week, then they're done. So that sort of brings into question what's up with the rest of the league. But I might just head down to Welland to see the Welland Jackfish. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's a former minor league ballpark. Should be fun.
Yes. I've been there before. I saw the Niagara Stars of the very short-lived Canadian Baseball League there.
2003.
How about you, Mark? You got anything planned for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, Sunday I'm going to do a doubleheader in Fort Wayne. You're going to check out the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, and then Fort Wayne FC is playing there in the USL League 2. It's their last game of the season. Not quite sure what to expect. They play at a high school field, but I've seen crowds from anywhere from about 3,500 to about 750. So I hope we get one of those 3,000 crowds because that'd be kind of cool to see. So doubleheader Sunday, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and Columbus Crew, they just opened up their new stadium. I'm debating if I'm going to drive out there on the 17th. That would be a Saturday. So Meg says it's mine if I want to review it. So definitely like to check out their new grounds. That's about a 2.5-hour drive from where I am. And I didn't go out there for the MLS Cup, so I better get out there for their new stadium. Not that it's going away anytime soon, but a little excited, a little giddy about new MLS facilities.
Nice. And as for myself, I don't have anything written or set in stone right now because, we do have a big trip coming up in 3 weeks. So for the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to keep it local. We are thinking about hitting up the Mystic Schooners of the New England Collegiate League next weekend. And the following weekend, the New England League is having its All-Star game at Cardines Field in Newport. So we're probably going to hit that up because that's pretty close to home. And what's interesting about that is we've talked about Cardines Field, and I think we've shared pictures. Right behind the outfield fence are a bunch of houses. And they're planning as part of the All-Star game to have a home run derby, a home run hitting contest. So if I were one of the people who lived in one of those houses, would not be happy about a home run contest. I can see a lot of shadow, going there to see how many windows get hit. Might be worth the price of admission alone. So if we go anywhere, we're probably looking at Mystic and Newport. So that's where we're going to wrap things up for this week. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you to the folks who've been following along on Twitch. Dan, where can our listeners follow you online?
Dan Law 83 everywhere.
All right, Mark, how about yourself? Where can our listeners find you?
Ballpark Hunter on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Check out my latest videos, and also check out some cool videos of ballparks on Stadium Journey's YouTube page. There's a couple coming up this week and next week.
Very nice. Dave, where can our listeners follow you online?
Twitter, Instagram, Profan9. Into right now, Don Yeager. Timely, of course, the Tarnished Heisman. Just finished Ed Arnold's Hockey Town, all about the Peterborough Petes. I don't know why Peterborough Petes are like the only OHL team that people write books about, but it was pretty good. And audiobook into the Extra 2% by Jonah Carey, which is really fascinating, all about how the Tampa Bay Rays took over the American League East on no money.
I don't think they're in first place right now, though. And you can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. And don't forget to check out our website, stadiumjourney.com. Like, follow, share, and subscribe across any or all of the platforms, whichever one you like. You can pick and choose. We don't care. Well, if you take one, we'll be happy. You have all 4 or 5 or 8. We're happy there too. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Stadium Journey. And you can find the Stadium Journey podcast by searching HIAC Talk Radio Network on whatever podcast app you use. And we're also on Spotify. And remember, for those of you who are watching this at a later time, we simulcast live every other Tuesday night at 8 Eastern at twitch.tv/DanLaw83. And we will all be back in 2 weeks. That will bring us to July 20th, when we'll be joined by Stadium Journey correspondent Michael Davis to talk about the sports venues of Dallas and Northern Texas. That's right. We're staying in Texas, 2 shows in a row. Until then, be safe with your Stadium Journeys as things open back up, and we'll see you on the road.